BattleChasers Nightwar, in a nutshell, is one of the best RPG games of this year. Developed by Airship Syndicate and published by THQ Nordic. Now, a little backstory before I get into BattleChasers Nightwar. Essentially, how this game came to be is it was originally a comic book. The creator of this comic book was Joe Madureira. I hope I'm saying that right. And he has a pretty big resume when it comes to not only the gaming industry, but the comic book industry. He was an intern at Marvel Comics and worked on Marvel Comics Presents, Uncanny X-Men, and The Astonishing X-Men. After that was said and done, he left Marvel Comics and worked on his own series, BattleChasers. After about 9 issues, over a course of 3 years, he stopped. And he eventually left the series and went into an opportunity of gaming. Something that he's most known for is being the creative director at THQ. Yes, sir, this man is responsible for the awesome characters and hellish settings of Darksiders 1 and 2. In 2011, he went back into the comic book industry, worked on Avenging Spider-Man and Savage Wolverine, and of course, THQ went bankrupt, rest in peace, and was acquired by Nordic. Madureira, along with some co-workers from Vigil Games, created Airship Syndicate, and the BattleChasers name was unearthed and brought to the world once again. Along with the Kickstarter and a whopping $856,000, they began development of BattleChasers Nightwar, which lo and behold was published by THQ Nordic. And that's your history lesson of Joe Madureira and how BattleChasers Nightwar came to be. BattleChasers Nightwar is a turn-based RPG that really gives me the satisfaction that I've needed. The last turn-based game that I played in its entirety was Final Fantasy XIII, and that was about 10 years ago. I haven't really touched many turn-based games. I dabbled in Summoner's War, I guess, but the game just plays itself. Darkest Dungeon was pretty fun for a while, but I dropped off at that game after a few hours, mainly because it was just super impossible for me. I'm not that good at video games. There's just something about BattleChasers Nightwar that makes it stand out from the others, and I love it. The plot is pretty simple, and I would say it is a plug-and-play template when it comes to, like, an RPG. You begin on an airship, you get ambushed, and then you're thrown into the chaos, which is good. No beating around the bush with this game, just going straight into the story. I always enjoy that. I never really liked games that kind of drew out the intro and it just took longer to get into the game. From there, we start to get situated with the setting and where we are. Without any knowledge of the BattleChasers comics or prior knowledge of the game, it does a very good job giving the player a sense of understanding. Giving reference to each character's past and origin to give a full understanding of the current situation and motive of each character. Something that I like that really ties in the relationships with these characters are the little interactions you get when you rest at a tavern. They're a nice way of seeing these characters bond and kind of have a back and forth with each other. Each character fits your average template for an RPG, but honestly the voice acting for each character is fantastic, and I love each and one of these guys and their personalities. Instead of traveling from one point to the other and having a certain objective on what you have to do, this game encourages exploring and has a variety to each dungeon you encounter. I can't tell you how many secrets I found off the beaten path, or areas you don't even encounter following the main story. Like any RPG, there is the grind. It's meant to be with these kind of games, especially one that relies so heavily on JRPG elements. I wasn't surprised when I encountered a level raise way above me, which made me go back and grind out all my party members. It's not a bad thing. The game does a fantastic job in giving you actual things to do than just run around and fight a million monsters. Hunts are a fun way to search for bosses that can allow you to get loot and give you a good amount of experience. Going back to dungeons and finding all the lore rewards you with tomes that can be specced into heroes for skill points, which I will go over in a bit. But yes, this is the game specifically for me because it rewards you for finding bits and pieces of the story. I wish many games followed suit and rewarded you for taking time to learn more about the world you're playing in. Of course, the replayability of dungeons on different difficulties yields more rewards the more you play. Another way to get your characters leveled up and get cool gear for them is the arena. The arena is a simple way to go through waves of monsters and acquire as many points as possible. This way, the more points you get, with the more modifiers and the higher difficulty, rewards you with cool different things. All of these elements make grinding less of a chore and more of a smooth experience for the player. Really, a lot of RPGs lack, especially when you hit that level gate. BattleChasers does a good job in giving you a variety of things to do, so you're not feeling bored the entire time. Combat is a ton of fun. First and foremost, it's just so appealing to look at the game. It is super pretty. Each character is unique. They all have their own kit, and they all have their own unique supers that make them just them. Supers have to be my favorite part. Think limit breaks from Final Fantasy. They are called bursts, and there are 3 different tiers for each character. Level 1 and 2 can be acquired by just progressing through the game, but what makes the 3rd tier special, and this goes back to grinding and making your character more powerful, is this 3rd tier is seeking out certain requirements and fighting special bosses for a character to unlock this essentially ultimate move. Going back to the grind element of the game, it is well worth it. No rotation of heroes is wrong, and there's no downside to pairing people together since the variety of abilities with each character is so vast. There are a ton of abilities and attacks. The player will not struggle with specifically varying too much. The enemies aren't just squishy bots, they are lethal, especially higher in the levels, which forces the player to actually strategize their next move and be efficient with their mana and bursts. This is good. The easier the difficulty, it's just a simple point and click. The more challenging the combat becomes, helps the player really stop and think of their next move. I love it. Stats, of course, being an important aspect of the game, the amount of gear in this game is insane. It's crazy how much they added to this game with the amount that was funded for it. They didn't just give you rewards that were higher tier than other people if you paid enough money. Their stretch goals are awesome. One of these stretch goals was the expansion of the weapon sets and gear. Now, there's a lot of mix and match, and it's fantastic. I looked at the Kickstarter, and they hit the tier that creates a vast amount of armor and weapons, and there are a ton. Along with gear, leveling up, there are perks, which every time you level up, you get a number of skill points to put in these perks. Depending on this amount, you can spec into 2 categories, giving your heroes some extra help when it comes to their abilities and overall stats. So much variety and possibilities when it comes to this game. Game stability is flawless? Almost. In the beginning, I would run into trouble of dialogue overlapping with menus and causing a big mess. I could get rid of it, but that was just the first 20 minutes. I really haven't ran into that problem. And only one little bug that I found hilarious, but other than that, the game runs beautifully. The game structure is stable, and that's all that matters. The game is fantastic. I will definitely be going back and playing it again to see how strong I can get my characters. I really wish I was around when the Kickstarter was active to support it and get my name in the graveyard inside the game. Or even better, like an Ultimate Edition. I really hope that they add some sort of DLC to the game or they give us some kind of update on how it's doing. Joe Madureira has stated he will be rebooting the comic book series, which I will definitely pick up and read. If you're looking for a decent 30-hour game, I definitely recommend picking this up. It is on all consoles and I picked it up for Steam for like only $20. It's on sale right now. Worth my money, definitely worth the time. Personally, I give it a 10 out of 10 for satisfying my every need. Thank you THQ Nordic and Airship Syndicate for a great game. I hope you guys enjoyed that review of BattleChasers Nightwar. From now on, all reviews are being moved from my personal channel to the EzXP channel as a collaboration with them. So if you're looking for any more reviews that I do, make sure to go follow EzXP on YouTube. And if you're looking for something to listen to, we are the EzXP podcast. And we mainly talk about anything that has to do with the gaming industry and our opinions on it and what we're excited for, what we have planned. And so that's going to be super exciting and that's going to be taking up most of my time. Obviously, the Let's Plays will still be continuing on my channel, but I will also be moving extra things onto EzXP channel so that we can start that and get it up and running. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.